Okay, all flight controllers, gonna go for landing. Retro. Go. Rhino. Go. Guidance. Go. Control. Go. Telcom. Go. GNC. Go. Ecom. Go. Surgeon. Go. Capcom, we're go for landing.
There is nothing wrong with your television. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are now controlling the transmission. We control the horizontal and the vertical. We can deluge you with 1,000 channels or expand one single image to crystal clarity and beyond. We can shape your vision to anything our imagination can conceive. For the next hour, we will control all that you see and hear. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the deepest inner mind to the outer limits.
This is DDS02D. I have an excellent topic for tonight to talk about for the Black Manosphere. We're talking about the media war on masculinity. The media war on masculinity. So what we have out here is an attack on masculinity on all fronts. You know, there's an attack on men just being men out here. Men just operating as men have traditionally done. They've been talking about this toxic masculinity for a long time, and basically what that means out here is that anything that men have traditionally done, things that men do, is seen as being wrong, immoral, and out of place. That's what we're getting to right now with these progressive times. These liberal progressive times right now are dictating to society, is pushing this narrative that being masculine, there's a problem with masculinity. And who exhibits, what group exhibits masculinity to its fullest extent? It's going to be Black men. Black men out here exhibit masculinity to its fullest extent. They're so afraid of Black men being able to get together, organize, and just be men that they've employed many tactics to quote unquote effeminize Black men here in America. That's really unfortunate. And one of those tools that's being used by the liberal camp, the liberal ideology out here, is, of course, the media. The mass media, television, newspapers, magazines, all of those mediums are being used to emasculate and effeminize, particularly Black men out here. So I want to get into an article that I read on USA Today. So I want to talk about this article because the way they structure the words, the way they put these words together, the way they do their grammar, it's in such a way that promotes the effeminization of Black men. And I want to get into this. There was a basketball player for Duke University. His name is Jared McCain. And obviously he's a star. He's a basketball star. But what's being done is him painting his nails, him painting his fingernails is being uplifted and promoted by the media. It's being seen as a good thing. It's being written as though it's a good thing. And I kind of want to get into that because it's quite subtle, but it's something that I took quite an issue with, actually to the point that I wrote the editors. I sent the editors and a few other folks up there at USA Today an email about this issue. What we have here, this is the article by USA Today. This gentleman named Dan Walken wrote this article, and he titles it, Jared McCain Shuts Out Critiques of Nails and TikTok and Delivers for Duke in March Madness. When you're out here in the public domain and doing certain actions, just being in the public domain, you're going to get criticized. There's going to be criticism. And there's no way to shut out the criticism. It's a part of doing business. It's to be able to weather this criticism, to take this criticism head on. So there's already an issue with the title. So right here, at least in the picture here, it says Duke basketball star Jared McCain inks nail deal with beauty brand Sally Hansen because he paints his nails. See, this is the promotion, and I've talked about this before. This is the promotion of men dressing as women and doing things that women generally do. See, there's an incentive for men to do that. And that incentive is getting promoted, getting money and getting promotions. That's really unfortunate. Down here it says Dallas. The first time Duke guard Jared McCain showed up at a basketball tournament with his fingernails painted, lavender was the original color, he says, with a laugh. He heard all the ugly comments one might expect. So I don't know if that was a joke or not, but we're going to go ahead and take it at face value. So he shows up at this tournament with his fingernails painted, and then he says, well, lavender was the original color, and he laughs about it. It's not a laughing matter that you're doing things that women do. What is so funny about you out here painting your fingernails? That's something that men don't do. And it's something that shouldn't be promoted. It doesn't matter how good of a basketball player that he is. What he's doing is feminine. Those are feminine behaviors. And that's a problem. That's a problem. Because in this society today, we're seeing an issue with the genders getting their roles mixed up. You got women trying to behave as men, and now we're seeing men trying to behave as women. There's so much confusion out here. And all that he's doing is adding to the confusion. And he wants to laugh about it. He thinks that it's a funny thing. He thinks that it's funny, right, that he paints his fingernails lavender. I mean, this is totally ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. He says here, when I first did it at 16 and under, Peace Jam, a lot of people called me TikTok, McCain said. I didn't really understand how that would affect me, but yeah, people just call me TikTok or gay or whatever. They want to call me. It doesn't really matter. Well, actually, it does matter. It does matter because you're putting yourself out there, you know, as a public figure, playing basketball out here in front of millions of people watching for a name-recognized university. And you're out here as a man painting your fingernails. So it does matter. It does matter. And then he says here, McCain, the only freshman in Duke's starting lineup, is a phenomenal basketball talent, a five-star prospect who could have chosen any school in the country. He's a likely lottery pick in the NBA draft, whether it's this year or next. These are huge reasons. The Blue Devils are one game away from the Final Four, averaging nearly 14 points per game and shooting so many percent from the free throw line this season. So just like I said earlier, it doesn't really matter how well of a basketball player that he is. That's irrelevant. What the Black Manosphere is looking at are the societal impacts of his actions. See, what he's looking at as an individual, see, it's easy to sit up there and say, well, I'm just looking for the money. You know, I only care about the money. I only care about the fame and the promotions and the, you know, these advertisement deals. But see, we're looking at things from a societal point of view. And what he's doing is very problematic. It doesn't matter how well of a, you know, that you are at your profession. If you're out here operating other than masculine, it sets a bad example. And that's another thing. It sets a bad example, you know, for upcoming men out here. It's a terrible example to follow. And like I said, it's only adding to the confusion that we're seeing today with these gender role mix-ups. That's really, really unfortunate. I don't know what's going on with the younger generations of men and women, but it's not good. It's not good. The types of issues that are being talked about and being discussed today were not an issue 40, 50 years ago. And I would surmise that due to these liberal progressive policies, that is the reasoning why we're having all of these issues today. See, the Democrats and the liberals out there are vying for votes. So they will cater to even the most marginalized groups just to get those votes. That's really, really unfortunate. They would sell out morals, dignity, character, all of those things that were traditional in nature just to get a vote. That's really unfortunate. Now, what I've got underlined here and in bold here is where Mr. Dan Walken writes, he's also unapologetically himself. Now, that's an opinion. I want to make that clear. What he wrote here is not a factual statement. That's an opinion. But he's putting this out there as though it's a fact. If he was unapologetically himself, I'm going to make this argument. If Jared was unapologetically himself, he would be a man and not paint his damn fingernails. Because what did it say? Himself. Not herself, not itself, himself. Quote, Jared is one of one, sophomore Kyle Filipowski said. Now, again, this author, this disrespectful author writes here, and he's unique in ways he knows make some people uncomfortable, particularly the sector of society that has more rigid and perhaps outdated views of what masculinity looks like or how a star athlete is supposed to present himself in public. Okay, so that's once again, that's an opinion. But I got a question for Mr. Dan Walken here. What is masculinity, sir? Since you want to make the statement that perhaps outdated views of what masculinity looks like, go ahead And I need you to define. Why didn't you define what masculinity is in this argument? I mean, in this article. In your article, why didn't you define what masculinity is? But you want to speak on masculinity. It doesn't make any sense. But see, this is the type of language that's being used in the media to promote and uplift men who are dressing like women, men who are doing things that women generally do. They want men to be just like women. That's what they want out here. That's what they're aiming for. Their ultimate goal is to totally emasculate men across the board. The Black manosphere, we're not standing for it. We're not standing for that foolishness. So he talks about outdated. What is, okay, so painting fingernails is, that's been going on for a very long time. Okay. So the question is, Mr. Walken, the question is what Jared is doing, is that outdated? Because he's painting his fingernails. Okay. So Jared is painting his fingernails. All these different types of colors, just like a woman would. My question to you, sir, is that outdated or not? Because the action of painting fingernails is not, it's not new. See, there's a lot of problems with the language and the, you know, that's being used by mass media to describe individuals, men in particular, who are doing things that men have not done traditionally. That is not a masculine trait. How is painting your fingernails a masculine trait? Mr. Dan Walken, and anybody at USA Today, hit the link and tell me right now what is masculine about a man painting his fingernails. We in the Black manosphere, we would like to know what is masculine about a man painting his fingernails. And you describing this whole situation as being like making some people uncomfortable. I'm not uncomfortable at all. I'm just pointing out facts. I'm pointing out facts. Maybe you're the one that's confused on masculinity. Maybe you're the one that's confused. In a TikTok video he posted earlier this week, where he's in the middle of painting his nails blue and white, is actually a clever ad for Sally Hansen nail polish. McCain looks at the camera with a sly smile and says, "Sorry if that offends you guys." See, his actions are very feminine. That's a very passive aggressive thing to do. Once again, that's another characteristic that's unmasculine, this passive aggressiveness. That's what women tend to do. Say one thing, but their body language says something else. And just like I said, the promotion is also a problem. Sally Hansen, this company, Sally Hansen Nail Polish, rewards this behavior, this abhorrent behavior from Jared. And see, it's really problematic, very problematic, particularly for, men in the Black manosphere who are pointing out these societal issues that's going on right now with these gender mix-ups. So he says here, quote, "Perfect deal for me," unquote, said McCain, who has scored several name, image, and likeness sponsorships with companies like Celsius, American Eagle, Skims, Downy, and Crocs. So basically, he's okay with this. He says it's a perfect deal for me. So this is the deal. It's many men out here selling out their masculinity for money, being rewarded by these companies for doing what? Being feminine in nature, acting feminine in nature, putting on dresses, putting on women's clothing, now putting on makeup and things of that nature. So this is the deal. A person that does something like this, a man that does something like this, when he goes to the next level and he starts to compete with men who don't appreciate that type of attitude, that type of behavior, they're going to test you. You're going to get tested. That's just a warning to this brother. You're going to get tested. And it's not going to be nothing nice. And let's see if Sally Hansen is going to be sponsoring you when you don't have any fingers left. Let's find out if they continue to sponsor you when those fingers are mauled. That's my thing. So that concludes the Black Manosphere work of the night.